What is up? What's up, everybody? Thank you for letting me indulge myself, that Church of Eight Wheels. And more importantly, this is another long-form interview, and you can see my guest, the Chart Guys. I actually say Chart Guys is a mentor to me. He's someone that I've looked up to for a long time, and even some of the stuff you see me teaching today, I'll say maybe I picked it up from him or influenced by him. Um, he's just great. So let's get right into it. You know, of course, I'm Big Cheds from Twitter. That's where you know me from. This is going to go into my YouTube at Cheds Trading, the long form interview series. And I try to get just really smart people, you know, smarter than me, like Dan, get them in there and talk to them, ask them questions, and create good content for you. This will go into long form interview series. While you're on my YouTube, check out the Trading Encyclopedia, 3-minute videos teaching you, what's a breakaway gap? What about length of advance and consolidation? What's a death cross? What's the RSI, 3-byte soldiers, head and shoulders? Just a lot of great learning, content for you. Check that out. I'm on Bitcoin Live, where I'm a founding analyst. But today's guest is Chart Guys. He is the one and only Chart Guys. He's got a great community, which is the Chart Guys community. I'll have all the links and information there for you. He's also a prolific content creator on YouTube. I think he said 11,000 videos. That's pretty crazy. 200K subs. A very nice community, and it's just a thrill. So enough about that. Let's get right into the interview, and I present to you Chart Guys. All right, hello. What's up, Chart Guys? How you doing, Dan? It's really great to see you again, man.
I'm great. Thanks for having me back.
Appreciate you, man. Now, we actually did a collaboration. We did a few in the past. I actually have one with you, like in the long form interview series, but I think it was more of us just looking at charts. So I'm really looking forward to like this interview where my audience can learn about you, your style, your methodology. There's definitely some overlap in what we do, and I can say I've learned a lot from you. But there's a lot of stuff that you do that I don't do. So I think it's gonna be really fun. You're just like a great educational account. I'm always putting you forward to my audience saying like, this guy's legit. So hopefully we can flesh some of that out and, hear about how you're doing in your life. So thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I definitely appreciate your mentions. I can always tell when Cheds has responded in my mentions, because there's a lot more views.
That's funny, man. It's, networking is important. Like, we can't live in an island as a trader or anything. And like communities are important. So maybe we'll start out with that. I'd like to hear about, the community, the Chart Guys community. And now you have Chart Guy, Lamont, Chart Girl Lori. You've got like all these people. Can you kind of walk us through a little bit of that?
Yeah, so we've been going at it now for just over 10 years. And everybody that is a chart guy or chart gal mentor on side of things started as a member. And it was really just me recruiting, just me watching, who has the characteristics. Because as we know, learning technical analysis is one aspect, but you need the drive and the motivation. You need the psychological aspect of things. And so I was just watching, who's putting in the most effort, who is understanding all the concepts, who is willingly helping other people, and then recruited them to join the team. And, we've got the chat room, and it's now live streams. It's just been a whirlwind of a decade where we are, teaching people technical analysis and sharing our experiences and going over the market day by day.
So you've had your community for 10 years?
Yep, that's right.
That's impressive. And so how many like lieutenants do you have now? Like what's that like?
Oh, in terms of full-time traders, there are 3 others, including myself, and then a couple that aren't exactly full-time, so maybe 5 total, but 3 that I have mentored that are full-time traders along with myself.
Now, do they have like different styles than you, or they're kind of just, yeah?
Yeah, and as you mentioned, you and I have some similar styles, but also very different, and that's what it takes to become a trader, where you're really just picking pieces of what someone else does and saying, okay, I'm going to use this with my style, but I also like to do this different. And no 2 traders are the same. Yeah. And so, like I'll use EMA 12 and Lori will use EMA 8 and, Lamont does volume profile analysis, which is very different than what I do. So, but I've been watching Lamont, and now I used to view support and resistance just as distinct concrete levels. And now I'm viewing them more as like trenches, more as little zones, and volume profile and how he does things has helped me, viewing back to, you break a resistance level, you back test and need to hold it. I love, I have what works for me. So I'm not constantly looking for new things like newer traders are, but I always like adding a little thing here and there when I see something that strikes me.
I want to flesh out later the whole supported trenches and zones thing. You're like spot. You do spot, right? More than anything, right? You've kind of evolved towards spot.
Yeah, definitely. And crypto 2017, which is when you and I sort of connected after that initial euphoria run. It changed my style, just watching how pure the price action was, and it was just pure emotions on those charts. And so I ditched a lot of moving averages. I used to have the 50, the 100, the 200 period, and I ditched all of them, and I just made things as simple as possible, and price action became king for me.
There's a temptation, right? As a new trader to think all I need to do is add like the MA50, or all I got to do is add like this one indicator and that's going to solve my problems. And then you eventually have like 50 indicators, and then you end up being nowhere and you get information overload. Would you describe your style as a simpler style, and how did you move towards that? Was it like that?
I mean, you have to explore, obviously, as you're trying things out and newer. And I looked at Ichi clouds, and I looked at Elliott wave, and everything has its place. I like to say, there's an Elliott wave, an Ichi clouds. There's these traders out there where that's their primary method, and they're better traders than me. There's at least a few in every single style. There's no right or wrong way. And so you have to go through the period of trying out what works, ditching a bunch of things, keeping a few things, narrowing it down. And everybody, when they're starting out, is looking for the right thing. What's the right way? When in reality, it's just little pieces of a puzzle, and you find your, 4 or 5 pieces that make up the full picture. And there is no one right answer in terms of, a style. It's just putting the puzzle together.
What are some of the things like you used to do, like that you've really stopped doing? Like I used to have like RSI and stochastics RSI, and I learned like, what am I doing, right? So what do you have stuff like that?
Yeah, same exact thing. Full stow was on my chart right below RSI. I was like, that's not telling me anything different. So I'm going to ditch that. I used to do MACD, but now I use EMA 12 and 26 on my charts, and they cross.
Which is part of MACD.
Right. So, you just put it right on there. And Bollinger Bands used to be big for me, and I've got nothing against Bollinger Bands. I think they are a good tool, but again, I just ditched them. I ditched them when I went to pure price action and support and resistance levels based on prices.
But you just don't like the man, John Bollinger himself, right?
Yeah, I hate that guy. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, legend.
He's cool. He's very cool. He's definitely a legend. So let's see. So how did you? So a lot of people probably don't know who you are, and I think that's definitely on them. Like if you follow me, you're gonna like what Dan does. But before you started the community, like what were you trading, or what were you doing before the community started?
Yeah, so probably I've been trading for 15 years or so. So there was a 5-year period where I didn't have any kind of community. And I was back in those days, I was in penny stocks, cannabis penny stocks is where I first got interested. And then, got into just whatever the flavor of the month was in penny stocks. It was e-cigs. Those were becoming a big thing. And, so everything had its run. And I learned all the hard lessons in penny stocks when I was trading. The pump and dumps obviously are rampant there. And also a distrust, which honestly I find to be a good thing. A distrust of, everything in penny stocks is a scam. And so if I just approach markets that way, where I'm extremely protective of my capital, where, I treat it as a video game. You'll hear a lot of professional traders talk about treating it as points and not dollars, and breaking that emotional attachment that you have to dollars is so important to be able to, not have your emotions inhibit your trades. So started in penny stocks. I was playing around in forums, I did the standard thing that everybody does. I'm in a position, it starts going against me. So I jump online, and I want other people to make me feel better about it. Like, okay, well, they're bullish because of the earnings upcoming. And so, okay, it's going to be okay. And obviously you learn that's the wrong way to approach the game, but interacting with people in forums and understanding that, okay, we can share information. There were generous people that helped me out, pointed things out to me. And I found how useful and again, back then, 2010, 2012, you didn't have the resources for technical analysis that you have
Right,
now. Now
right.
it's overload. Back
Yeah.
then it was like you're scrambling to find information, and to talk to a real successful trader was like the holy grail of an opportunity. Whereas now I like to kid and say, you got a bunch of them on Twitter, and everybody used the opportunity to talk smack to them at this point. So the game has changed significantly. And, I progressed from penny stocks into real stocks. And I will never go back, just because the price action, the volume, the liquidity, everything is better about it. And it's just been a wild journey along the way.
So the stuff you learned back then, like with these altcoins, sorry, with these penny stocks,
Same
translates
thing.
to altcoins. I mean, in my brain, it's the same thing. That's why I just did that. And it's funny, like I totally know what you mean. Like, I was in the same boat where I was down 50% and I wanted someone to give me permission to hold,
Exactly.
right?
That's what it is.
And because, if I have to make the decision myself, it's just too hard a decision. I just can't do it. I need chart guys to tell me it's okay to hold, or I need like, chart girl Lori to tell me. And, but I think we all have to go through that. And it's painful, right? It can be painful to take a big loss because you feel like a personal failure, you know? How have you separated yourself from that type of behavior? You're more methodical now, I assume. And obviously you've had a nice career and you've built up a nice series of wins over time. But um how do you deal with self-doubt and stuff, Dan? How do you deal with that, man?
So you have to go through the pain, obviously, as we know. And I used to be, when I was teaching people, I used to, rule number one, you put a stop loss on every trade. And I
Yeah.
used to be flabbergasted that people would be paying me for my knowledge and then breaking rule number one and not placing a stop. And I
Yeah.
realized people have to feel the pain. I can't feel it for them. And so you have to experience the lessons where you feel sick to your stomach. And really,
Yeah.
it then gets to a point where you felt the kick in the stomach enough that you detest it and say, I don't ever want to feel this way again. What do I need to enact in my rules, in my process, to ensure that I don't feel this way? I hate waking up and the first thing that hits my mind is, oh yeah, I took that giant loss yesterday. It's just such a terrible way to live life. It's not healthy. And so we have to prevent that from happening. So, I've experienced all the big losses just like everybody else. And for me, it's always been nature. Nature's been my escape. And reality. I get out in nature, and even like, the market will be dumping and down 30%. And you go outside and it's like, well, everything's the same out here. And then it reminds me, it's all just a game of flashing numbers. The entire thing we humans made up. And so that's my way of detaching from, reality and the flashing game of numbers, which is a tool and it can be very lucrative and I'm very grateful for it, but it's not real. And so that is how I always come back to center and, deal with a big loss and always use it as a motivator. Rather, we always get down on ourselves. We always self-doubt and talk in our heads, but it's the kind of thing, when I love playing sports or ping pong or anything. And I love when my opponent talks smack to me, because it's such a motivator. Like, oh, let me have it. And that's going to kick me into gear. And a loss is the same way for me in a trade, where it's almost like, if I take a solid loss, I know that my next week of trading is going to be top tier. I'm following every single rule. I'm waiting for A+ setups. It recalibrates, from getting maybe a little lazy because I was on a winning streak, and then you take a fat loss and then it zones you back in.
Interesting. Yeah, you can use the doubters comments as motivation. And it's not always enough. Like, you should think, I should be able to do it for myself, but really sometimes it does take, even like your friends who say, "Oh, you can't do this," and you go and do it. And you're like, "What up now?"
Yeah.
So, that's interesting. How you so that's how you deal with a big loss. Dan, have you seen that meme where it's like a picture of Sweden, or it's a beautiful waterfall, and people say humans saw this and invented perpetual swaps, right?
Yeah.
And it's so true. We have to reconnect with who we are, which is part of the environment, which is part of nature. Like, we think we're always separate from it, but like, we are nature, right? If we're in these concrete jungles or we're in an office, we're trading all day, we lose our humanity, we lose our connection to others. And what are some of these other ways that you remain connected, to your community and to what, who you are?
Definitely, once I got to a point where I was, hit my goals in terms of gains and lifestyle and everything, a
Yeah.
big motivator for me then became helping people financially. And,
Yeah.
it makes sense where if you're not making money, it's hard to be giving out money. But I love
Yeah.
the energetic flow of capital where, if I'm making a bunch of money, I'm dishing out a bunch of money just in terms of helping my community or helping friends with their, an interest-free loan for their startup business or whatever
Wow.
it is. And so that's a big motivator for me as well. But gardening, if I like to think, I fantasize, not fantasize, but I visualize sometimes, if you took me and stuck me in a city apartment, I
Hmm.
would not be a successful trader. Everything
Right.
else the same, I wouldn't be. And it's
Hmm.
because I click the X button at the end of the day and I go out into the garden. And, I used to live on a little hobby farm with goats and pigs and chickens and ducks. And it was literally as soon as the day's done, I'm out in the yard, barefoot, shirt off, hanging out with animals and tending plants. And that's the only way you have to go. If you're going to be a successful professional trader, you go
Hmm.
through an obsession phase where it's not healthy. The amount of you're just so obsessed, you love the game so much that you're putting in 12 hours plus a day, 7 days a week. And everybody
Yeah.
that I know that has made it has gone through that obsession phase. But like I said, it's not healthy. And so it's that the only way that I was able to go through that phase was with that balance of, community, hanging out with friends and plants and animals.
So I've seen like videos from you, like wrestling goats, or I've seen, your guard. I've seen like a lot. You have lot of really cool things you share, which I think is it's amazing. I think a lot of people. I mean, I'm here in a mask, and you're not, and you're like, here's my garden, and here's this bear in my backyard. That means bears are in trouble. I think that's really cool. Um, are those videos a lot of that stuff from like an older place, or is that where you are now? Like, aren't you on a farm now, or like what's like where you
I'm,
live now?
I'm in my house now in Western North Carolina, and
Yeah.
I've got a big garden. I don't have the goats anymore at the moment. I'm holding
Okay.
off. But
Okay.
yes, so there was when we started the chart, guys. There was a 4-year period where I was living on this hobby farm,
Okay.
and that's honestly, I that was a catalyst for me to be a successful trader by keeping my living expenses bare bones
I
minimum.
see. I
And so
see.
I was there on like a work trade. I was the guard, I was the garden manager, the animal manager, and I had
Hmm.
free rent. And so
Oh
that
wow.
took so much pressure off me to just,
Yeah.
I'm not constantly withdrawing from my account every month a significant amount. And so I'm always, suggesting people have the entrepreneurial spirit as
Hmm.
a trader, to try and find ways to do these things, have a side hustle that you've got to relieve the pressure of trading day in and day out. Because if you have the mindset where I've got to make this much this month, it's so much harder to do versus, okay, if I'm flat this month or a little bit red,
Yeah.
I'm still going to be okay. And
Hmm.
even creating the chart, guys, that for me allowed me to level up, because before that I was taking out for living expenses and my account was, staying within a range because of that. And then as soon as I had a little bit of income from the chart, guys, teaching other people, I
Yeah.
could then go aggressive. And that's when I leveled up significantly and it changed my life. And, I don't sugarcoat the fact that psychologically that side income had a major impact.
How do you this is very fascinating. How do you so the obsession phase, right? You talked about that. How do you handle like sleep? I mean, if you gotta be you're obsessed to become a great trader, and then all of a sudden oh, I gotta stay on this chart. I can't go to bed. I gotta stay in this 15 minute. Like how do you and how should they be handling this whole sleep thing?
Yeah, I've gone through different periods. I recognize 2017 crypto was a rare opportunity,
Yeah.
and I shaped my entire life around it. Where
Hmm.
I was waking up every few hours in the middle of the night. I'd intentionally drink a bunch of water before bed, so I'd have to pee, and I'd wake up at
Interesting.
2 in the morning and check the
Oh, okay.
charts and make see where we're at. I was napping every day. I'm
Yeah.
really in hindsight, I'm really grateful at how good I am at sleeping. I can wake up and go back to sleep really
Okay.
easily. I can
Okay.
lay down and 10 minutes later, I take a 20-minute nap. I don't set any alarms. I'm just up again.
Wow.
And that's the most productive I've ever been is when I was taking a noon 20-minute nap every day, because without it by 5, 6 p.m., I'm, starting to get weary. But when I have that nap, I've got energy throughout the whole rest of the day until bedtime. So, but again, unsustainable in that moment.
Yeah.
Towards the end of that bull run, I was hoping Bitcoin would top. I was saying,
I
okay,
see what you mean.
like this is too much. We need to chill out. I need to regain my sleep cycle. I need to get off the screen a bit more.
Yeah.
And so it's just periods of that. And then again, you reach a point where the reward, it changes, where, now I value my time. I value my sleep more than the dollars.
Yeah.
Back then, when I was trying to level up, I valued the dollars more. So it's definitely a perspective shift.
So, but like a new trader, how should, just real specifically, like how should they handle like stop losses and like going to sleep, right? Like, because I always say, like, if a trade's costing you sleep, it's not worth it, right? But you still got to trade, and it's 24/7 market. So, like, what's like a specific piece of advice you would give for like a newer some person to handle that?
Well, the blessing about the 24/7 market is the fact that your stop loss, will be honored. Whereas with stocks, you got to worry about gaps and what's the
Yeah.
market doing overnight, and
Yes.
your hands are tied 8 p.m. to whatever a.m. And so that's a big benefit, in the sense that you can just set a stop and go to sleep. And I have the urge as well, where if I roll over at 5 a.m., I want to look at my phone and I want to see where the market's at. And then I
Yeah.
remind myself, I'm not going to act. It's not going to make any difference at 5 a.m. or 7:30 a.m. when I look. So I'm not going to look. And, as we know, trading is all about discipline. And so there's so many aspects of our lives where we need to express that discipline if we want it to show up in our trading as well.
How do you find like your mood will change if the price is one way or another on that 7 a.m., when you're checking it? Because I know sometimes I wake up and I'm like, I made a call the night before. I'm like, Bitcoin looks great. And then if I look and I'm like, oh my God, it dumped, I'm an idiot. Do you feel like that happens to you too, or?
A bit, honestly. Your example where it's other people, that matters more to me than if it's my own stuff.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
had plenty of fat losses, fat wins, where
Yeah.
I've become surprised at myself, where I'll have a big win or a big loss, and I'll be reflecting that day and be like, I don't feel anything. Like this feels like nothing. Is that, it's almost a little scary sometimes, but
Yeah.
it is the other people aspect things. I
Right.
will care more. If I post a swing trade that I'm entering and I know other people are following along with it, I care about that trade more versus, if I'm winning or losing. And it goes the same way. I've been an altcoin bear this year, just in the sense that I don't think 2021 kind of run is coming. And I've been hoping to be wrong. It's been, I hope I'm wrong. I hope these people make a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And that aspect does matter more to me these days, for sure.
I definitely want to do a lot of chart stuff with you because you're a wizard there. But just real quickly, generically, so like, are you still doing YouTube a lot? Because I remember seeing you like back in the day. I'm like, oh my God, this guy is so hardworking. Like every day there's a video. I'm like, I couldn't do that. And so, what are you doing now? Has it changed? What's the deal with your YouTube?
Yeah, it was the obsession phase. And I was doing like 3 videos. I mean, our YouTube channel has like 8,000 videos or something over the
Wow.
last 10 years. And I'm doing the
Jeez.
math, like, how is that even possible?
Right.
But there were, I used to do little 3-minute videos of this ticker and this ticker.
Yeah, I
So
remember
I
that.
would
That's how
do
I
like,
found you. That's how
yeah,
I
I would
found
do
you.
like six videos as the bell rang. And now I'm down to one a week, one crypto stream a week, one broader market end of week wrap up. And it's, a 30-minute, 40-minute video. I'm going more
Yeah.
in depth.
Yeah.
But it was the same thing where, okay, I hit it hard. It's the entrepreneurial grind of creating content. It stimulates a different aspect of the brain. There's the trading game and there's the entrepreneur game. And I love them both. They're very fun and very rewarding in different ways. And again, same thing, 10 years later, hit a bunch of goals, helped a bunch of people. And, I've got to not be 80 years old on my deathbed and regretting how much time I spent on the computer. So I had to dial it back. And, that's definitely the trend. My trend in both trading and in content creation is just pulling back and shifting and doing other things after hitting goals. And I see more and more why the long-term successful traders start a certain way, then they go to swing trading, then they go to just, a couple high conviction ideas a year. You hit
Right.
that idea really
Yeah.
hard. You're averaging up into your winner
Mhm.
to make it a real big win. And
Mm.
I can foresee that, that's where I'm headed. That's the style that I will be, going from 1 minute chart day trading
Yeah.
constantly to a couple dozen trades a year is definitely the path.
I remember when I was like way back in the day, I remember hearing the old timers say like, 1 or 2 trades a year or whatever. And my brain didn't understand how to process that, right? Because you think you're supposed to just always be trading, right? But if you're a trader, you could also be studying, you could be teaching, you could be just watching and preparing, you could be doing other stuff. But you're right. Yeah. You just ride your winners, right? Like couple high conviction trades. Dan, are those more crypto or equities for you these days, or is it mix? I mean,
Both for sure. This year, just as an example, silver was a high one for me, high conviction, but
okay.
also ETH, ETH down at the low when I saw Tom Lee, BMNR, CNBC pump. It's like the
Yeah.
stars are aligning here for the fundamental narrative and the potential technical shift here. And I had high conviction that the retail herd was going to jump all over that as well. So,
Okay.
and I made, I did well on both of those trades, but as
Yeah.
I'm envisioning my future self, I'm
Yeah.
thinking, doing less, putting 3 times as much capital into those and
Mhm.
focusing only on those trades. And again, adding to the winners as opposed to scaling
Mm.
out as it's working in your favor. And, reading things like Reminiscence of a Stock Operator
Yeah. Jesse
and just,
Livermore.
yeah, that mindset where he was just, sizing up. And I don't know if you're familiar with the short bear on Twitter.
I think
That
I may have heard of it, but I don't.
that dude is he's going to go down unless he blows up, but he's going to go down in history in terms the gains he's putting in, like stupid gains, triple
Right.
figure, like 6-figure percentage gains in a year. And he's going to be in the new Market Wizard book. But
Six-figure percentage. Wow.
yeah, insane. Like, I went $3,000 to 7 figures and I'm like, oh, that's really good. And then I see these guys these days are doing 3 to 5 figures going to 9 figures. And it's
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
like the game is changing.
Well, there you go, Dan. How do you deal with someone else who's doing better than you? How do you not compare
Yeah.
yourself to them, right?
So the whole thing with trading is, FOMO, fear, all these emotions. It's not that the professional traders don't feel them. I
Okay.
feel them. I can look at a chart that I don't have a position and be, oh, I want to chase this, but
Yeah.
it's the recognition. I zoom out and I say,
Okay.
I'm feeling this feeling. That's FOMO. That's not good. I'm not going to act. And
Yeah.
so the difference between me and a newer trader is the newer trader is going to act. I'm not going to
Yeah.
act. So it's the same thing. I will look, I'll catch myself at times being on Twitter, seeing someone leveling up more aggressively. Because for me, again, I hit my goals. My lifestyle isn't going to change at this point if I double my net worth. And so, I don't have the insatiable drive for more that many guys have.
Yeah.
To get to a $500 million net worth, you have to
Mhm.
have an insatiable drive.
Yeah.
And I don't
Yeah.
have that. So I look at the people that do have that insatiable drive. And sometimes I will feel like, oh, should I be going more aggressive? Should I be using larger position size? And then I
Yeah.
catch myself again and like, no, like
Good
you
for
have
you.
everything you could want. And, you have to
Oh, you
catch
have
yourself.
everything you could want. That's pretty good, brother.
Definitely. So much gratitude. We're
That's
clicking buttons
wonderful.
here. I mean, let's
Yeah.
zoom out. We're clicking buttons
I know.
with magic internet numbers flying
I know.
around, and
I
it
know.
turns into real life thing. You can do good things with the money. You can improve your life and other people's lives. And
Yeah.
it's just magic.
Isn't that your phrase, like, "Do good things"? I feel like I've seen you say that many times.
That when we were starting out, I would end the stream and I wouldn't have like a closing statement. And then one day it was just do good things. And then people watching were like, hey, that's a good one. And I was like, all right, I'll
Yeah.
just say that at the end. So that became our motto. And
Mhm.
why people, gravitated towards me as a Chart Guys founder was very surprising to me, but it was the fact that I'm different, where I'm
Yeah.
not the dude in the suit with the Ferrari telling you that
Right.
I'm going to make you rich. I'm the
Right.
hippie in the garden with the goat telling you that, you can learn these things and improve your life. And I think it
Yeah.
was a lot more down to earth, and people, resonated with me more than that other version.
Yeah.
And it's just I've been very grateful. And it goes back to, me sharing my journey has made me a better trader. As you know, if you're teaching people, you're improving
Absolutely.
yourself.
Yeah.
But even more than that is, if other people are watching me, I got to be on my A game. I've got to be only taking the best trades. I've got to be, I'm on a pedestal. I've got to be emulating everything that I'm teaching. And if I were by myself with nobody watching, no accountability, I would be a worse trader without a doubt.
So your community is one of the secrets of your success. They help hold you
Absolutely.
accountable.
Mutually beneficial. And I suggest everybody get a couple friends online. My business partner, Jason, who we started the Chart Guys a decade ago, I didn't meet him for like 4 years. We met on Reddit.
Have I
And
seen Jason like in your stuff, or is he?
maybe he's in way back when he did some of the beginner videos,
Okay.
but
Balder
he
gentleman? He's like bald, or
maybe
I'm trying to
thinner
remember.
hair than me. He's older than
Okay.
me.
I'm just trying to see if I know who you're talking about. So,
Yeah,
okay.
so I met him for the first time at his wedding, like
Okay.
4 years into this journey. My point
Yeah.
is, reach out, find a small group of people to hold each other accountable, to teach each other things, to observe how you're doing things. That will absolutely level up your trading.
So before we go to the charts, last thing I wanted to ask you was, so you're just adding to your winners, but how are you ever taking profit? Like you said, not scaling out. But how, like, how are you turning it into a win, right? How are you materializing it?
So I am still scaling out. What
Okay.
I aspire to
Yeah.
is the adding, and I'm trying to do it a little bit more, even with sometimes day trades. If I'm in a a short and in a winning position, and we hit a new
Yeah.
low of the day, I'll add to it right there. Which
Okay.
normally I would never initiate a trade right then and there because
Yeah.
maybe we're extended on the short term time frame.
Right.
But I've got a profit cushion, so it's like, okay,
I see.
let's go aggressive. Let's add a bit more, and so that's what I'm aspiring to. These days I am still. I enter my trade, I take a third of the position off at an initial target. I stick my stop under the low. I got a break even stop near support. And then I let the trade try and play out longer term. So that is still my style in this moment.
So let's jump in. Like, can you show us like how you might do a target first? Like, are you using measured moves? Are you doing fibs? Is it based on just like previous resistance and it's a bounce into it? I'm
Yeah,
just curious.
it varies per setup, but definitely like EMA 12 I love, as I mentioned. And I traded the silver bounce last week. And if I'm playing counter momentum, I am going to sell partial very quickly at first. And I love
Counter momentum, like against like the broader trend, or what?
Yeah, we were in the daily the blow off top had happened. Daily consolidations underway. So the market's clearly saying, we've got a temporary top for now.
Yeah.
And I was watching, I love when I'm on a time frame. I just did a webinar last night to the EMA 12 rider. So check that out on our YouTube channel. But here's silver SLV. 2-minute EMA 12 is rejecting the price all day. And then as soon as you get over it, you get some bounce follow through. And so I like watching for when that little shift takes place. And usually I'll then just zoom out and I'll go to the 5-minute time frame and I'll sell right at
Did you just say zoom out to the 5-minute time frame, Dan?
Yeah. If I'm day trading, I'll be on the 2-minute sometime. And that changed for me. So I 5-minute used to be the shortest I would go to. When I was day trading. Then when I leveled up capital after crypto 2017, cannabis boom 2018, larger position sizes, more scalp trading mindset in the sense that I'm using the shorter term timeframes to position for the longer term move. So let's just say I'm on the 2-minute time frame, we're dumping, I'm playing a bounce. I sell a third as the 5-minute bounce gets going, just in case we set the lower high and keep dropping. Sell a third, stop under the low at that point. If the hourly oversold bounce plays out, I've got a nice position. If we drop and keep going lower, I stop out break even. I've gone through a transition where I was very aggressive in level up mode, where back this recent Friday flash crash in crypto, back in 2017, I was going all in on those kinds of flash crashes. And just this recently, I was reflecting, like, I can't believe I was doing that. Like, that's insane to me now. But I went from aggressive mode to now conservative mode. Aggressive mode, number one priority, leveling up, make as much money as possible, hit it hard and aggressive while the market environment is favorable for my trading style. And now it's priority number one is don't give back that profit. Because I'm where I want to be. I want to keep adding icing on the cake. I want to keep adding, but the number one thing is preserving my capital. And so I'm positioning, again, I'll sell a third real quick to get risk-free, which for me means stop under the low.
Okay.
If I stop out, break even, no big deal. If I don't, I have a winner. And I stop out break even a good bit these days because I do have tight stops and I am in a more conservative mindset. But part of the transition has also been zoomed in day trading on the computer 10 hours a day doing it. And now swing trading focus a lot more. And so I'm using, my IRA for swing trading stocks. And, I'm buying long-term positions during the CVID dump and the 2022 bear market. And these are things that I had never done before. And so it's just growth and transition of how I approach the markets.
So there's a lot of things I want to ask you about. I want to ask you about the cannabis stuff. I want to ask you about metals, but crypto, like, do you mind, like, you mentioned altcoins. I want to get to that, but how about like BTC and just kind of what do you think's going on here? Big picture, little picture, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, I'm definitely cautious. I have the benefit of having a best friend who is, Bitcoin maxi fundamentalist, went all in during the COVID dump and it changed his life. And so I'm watching him for clues in terms of what's that mindset. When are you going to take profit? You sat through the last two bear markets and you regretted it, obviously. Yeah. And so this time he's going to sell, but he keeps making excuses as to why he's kicking the can down the road. And of course I give him, like, dude, just take some off. You don't have to sell the whole position.
Nothing. He hasn't sold anything.
Maybe a little bit. I've got to check back in with him, but he keeps kicking the can down. And he's just positioning himself to potentially sit through another top. And so, I'm like, hey, mate, how about grabbing some coin last cycle, grabbing some coin puts just in case, hedging. And it's just, he's in an all or nothing mindset. And that's another thing newer traders need to get through their head. You don't have to be all in or all out of your position. You can trim a bit. And psychologically, it's so relieving to do that. Where, I personally sold, I've been holding long-term no-touch crypto from 2017, a position that I just said, I'm holding this for decades. And I sold maybe 20% of Bitcoin and ETH a couple months ago when Trump came out with Trump coin, I thought, okay, if I don't sell anything and that's a cycle top, I'm going to feel like an idiot. So I just trimmed a bit. And my mindset is if we keep going up, great. I'm going to have a higher net worth. And if that's a top, great. I sold some of my long-term positions. I can reload cheaper. And you have the ability to view it in a positive light. And it's so important that we look on the bright side of things because, again, it's so easy to get down on ourselves where you're not going to sell the top. You're not going to buy the bottom. You're going to trading is a game where you could have always done something better. And if you are focusing on that and getting down on yourself, you will constantly be getting down on yourself. As opposed to, you want to learn from your mistakes. I'm not saying gloss them over, but focus on the positives. And, that's just an example of we have the ability to choose our mindset. And it's so important. So for me, Bitcoin, we may be setting a top. I really hate when you hit a higher high with no follow through. I mean, we saw that back here. That marked the top of 2021. Just now, most recently, myself and a bunch of Chart Guys members were sitting here saying, I hope we reject from this all-time high here, tighten up a bit, and then break with follow through.
That would be nice, right? 117 hold would have been ideal,
Yeah, give us some confidence. Instead, you're extended, you break it, and no follow through. And we got to be cautious of distribution taking place here where, I'm not ready to call it. And by the time I am ready to call it, we will be a decent bit off the top. I need to wait. But I'm watching monthly EMA 12 rider because every period of consolidation has held it during the last 2 years of this bull run. And so that's right around 100,000 right now. And so if we close below that on the monthly, that's going to be my first major red flag of this run. I've got minor red flags right now because of that break, no follow through. But we got a little daily equilibrium right now, tightening up. This is going to break next week. We're going to see a volatility spike in crypto when this breaks. I hope it breaks bull, but I'm definitely prepared for it to break bear. And what I keep saying in my streams is, you can plan for one scenario that you're hoping takes place, but you better prepare for the opposite. You need a game plan if we're heading to all-time highs, and a game plan if this is it. And you need to ensure that if this is it and we're heading back down to 70,000, that it's not going to significantly negatively impact you financially because it's on the table.
Can you mark that equilibrium for me, and then show me how would you in your mind, like the last 10, 12 candles, you were showing the EQ there. It looks like it tried to break out of it like 3 or 4 days ago and wicked back in. My question is how are you in your mind? Yes, the equilibrium broke. Is it like a candle close above? Is it a certain price distance? Is it just a sense of your muscle memory on the read of the chart? How do you do that? Because you're the EQ guy.
Yeah. So for me, the equilibrium is a tightening range. It's the most common pattern you're going to find in markets. It comes after volatility. It's when you're setting a series of higher lows and lower highs. Some people call it a triangle. So I'm viewing, that's where we topped out on a bounce. That was our low. This is the lower high. That's our higher low. And right now we're potentially setting another lower high to just keep tightening up through the weekend. Makes sense. We know weekends are generally slow. And then first thing next week, this range is going to break. For me, I'm either, if I have got conviction, I'm positioning during the equilibrium where, I'm buying into this consolidation. If we break this low, I'm wrong. It's not an equilibrium, but generally I have high conviction when an equilibrium's forming. And the equilibrium tells us a number of things. It tells us we can anticipate the higher lows and the lower highs. And it also tells us, like I just said, volatility is coming. I know that next week we're going to get a volume and volatility spike because we get to a point, I used to call it the rubber band effect, where it gets tight. You can't get any tighter. It's going to snap. And that kinetic energy then explodes and you get a rebalance, a repositioning of the market. And so if I'm waiting for an equilibrium to break, I'm not waiting for candles to close. I will buy the break. But one of the very important things to do is, as soon as you're watching something on a certain time frame, we're watching a daily equilibrium, as soon as that resolves, zoom out to the next time frame, because you will very often find an equilibrium on a shorter term time frame then turns into one on a longer term. I'll watch a 5-minute equilibrium break without much follow through, and then I zoom out to the 15-minute, and then it's just a 15-minute equilibrium. And so, in this example, let's say we do break bull on Bitcoin on the daily chart, then I'll probably just go to the weekly, and then I'll be open to the possibility that maybe the weekly then needs to tighten up with a lower high and higher low. And so that happens plenty. Just another example, a psychedelic stock that I've been interested in. Low cap.
ATAI,
This was a monthly equilibrium. I love the longer term, the better, but this was tightening up for years. Higher low, lower high, higher low. So this was November 2023, and it finally broke a year and a half later. And then you can see, let's mark these resistances, these lower highs. When they finally broke, look at the volume behind it. It's off to the races. And a lot of people think I missed the move. Right. When in reality, because at that point it was, it's a penny stock. At that point it was up 100%. But you can see from that break, even if you're buying after the break, we then win another 100% higher. And so, I've got so many of these charts. Equilibrium, CCJ on the monthly chart. This is the uranium leader of the sector. Stock.
Okay. I'm not familiar with CCJ. I was thinking Carnival.
Yeah, just tightening up on the monthly for a year. It breaks bull, and then it's just a raging bull market where monthly equilibriums, if you're looking for a longer term swing trade where that's tightening up, the longer term, the better. Just a year plus sideways, and the break's coming, and generally you're going to see good follow through.
Okay, but you're not jumping in on downtrends. You're jumping in on mature trends, mature consolidation ranges that are showing a tightening range, suggesting volatility is pending, because that's what you want. You want some volatility.
Right. It lets you know. And generally, I'll trade. So here's the thing about trends. I will trade counter short-term trends to be trading with the longer term trends. So I'm looking, if the hourly is dumping for 3 days, but we're in a strong daily uptrend, I'm looking to trade against the hourly downtrend to try and position for the longer term daily higher low. And so context is important. I'm not looking long on something that's in a monthly, weekly, daily downtrend.
Right.
It's got to be a higher low somewhere. If I'm going to be looking long, I've got to be with at least one of the time frame trends.
That's smart. You want to make sure that you're putting out a really good point, is where no matter what time frame you're in, you're understanding what the larger time frame is doing, because you don't want to get caught in the wrong side of that larger trend. You said Bitcoin distribution. I'm curious how is it through, like, accumulation distribution? Is it just based on the price candles?
Yeah, just, I'm familiar with Wyckoff and things like that, but
Yeah.
generally, you get the bull break with no follow through,
Okay.
and that being used as exit liquidity
Yeah.
for bigger money, perhaps.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, one of my career, there are things that I more like, I try to improve upon: falling wedges and rising wedges.
Yep. Yeah. Oh,
More
you're a
recent.
falling wedge guy. You're big on the
Love 'em,
wedges, brother.
love 'em. But again, when it's in alignment with the longer term trend, give
Okay.
me a 5-minute falling wedge where an hourly higher low is the most likely scenario.
I
Give
see.
me a daily falling wedge where a monthly higher
Monthly
low
higher low.
is most likely. But
Okay.
I more recently, flags with no follow through has been a reversal indicator
Interesting.
for me. So, if we're weak and we bear flag, break the low, but then pop right back above it,
Boom.
I
Yeah.
look for that to be a reversal signal, because,
Yeah.
as Lamont would say with volume profile, there's a
Hmm.
lack of acceptance of
Okay.
price in that zone. And so if you pop right back up,
Hmm.
Lori says it's like trying to keep a beach ball
Beach ball
underwater.
underwater. Yeah.
You look for the reversal. So again, the fact that we've had 2 new all-time highs that go straight into consolidation, it
Disappointing.
doesn't give you the warm and fuzzies.
Yeah, it's disappointing. A little bit disappointing. Yet, monthly 12, right? Weekly MA 50. I mean, these bellwethers of the longer term trend are still there. But there's just we want to call tops, right? Because it's like we want clout, and we want to warn ourselves, but we don't have the information, right? Most of the time. And so all you can do is wait a little bit, and then, like you said earlier, you're not going to nail the top or the bottom. You're just going to hopefully ride the middle 80%, maybe, of the trend.
Yeah, and that's what I always say. We're going for the meat in the middle. We're
The meat
not
in the
going for
middle,
the
yeah.
tops and the bottoms.
Yeah.
Again, it's just not a long-term successful strategy. And
Yeah.
the sentiment in crypto right now is so bearish. Number one, because altcoins significantly underperforming, but it's also
Mhm.
opportunity cost. I mean, you're looking around at
Yeah.
gold and silver. You're looking around at the Nasdaq.
Yeah.
There's just the runs that altcoin bulls had hoped for. I mean,
Mhm.
there's a bunch of uranium names that ran thousands of percent in a year. Quantum stocks ran thousands of. It's just
Okay.
happening elsewhere, and so
Okay.
that's adding to the you know the
Mhm.
the gloom that's over the space right now, and it's definitely
Mm.
palpable. And so
Mm.
again, I'm watching. There's been significant enough periods where gold breaks out while Bitcoin's consolidating. Gold
Yeah.
consolidates, Bitcoin breaks out. That's happened 3 times in the last year and a half. And so right now, the next month, couple weeks for me is, are we about to see that again? Gold just hit a bit of a blow off top. Are we about to consolidate for a couple months in gold? And can Bitcoin follow through with a
Mhm.
new all-time high? I mean, we're at make or break here into the end of the year, where we're about to get this information. And as you mentioned, the one of the things that I don't like about people that dig into their position and make a prediction
Yeah.
is you're doing yourself a disservice, where literally every single day we're getting more information.
Like
And
Capo, right? Like Capo, who's
yeah,
been like Black Swan since May or whatever.
yeah. For me, it's everything that I do is a probability needle of
Okay.
50%, 80%. I'm never certain of anything. And any full-time trader will tell you they
Yeah.
don't know what's going to happen. They
Yeah.
position in good risk reward. They
Mhm.
position to benefit and not be hurt, but they don't know what's going to happen. And so, I'll see someone say, Bitcoin will go to blah, blah, blah. And I instantly think this person hasn't been trading markets long, because you
Yeah.
haven't been humbled yet to know that you don't know what it's going to do. But
Mhm.
you're doing a disservice by not allowing yourself to get new information literally every single day
Mhm.
and shift your probabilities or change your thesis. And so for me, if you ask me, is the top in for Bitcoin?
Mhm.
I'd probably go 45% chance. That's pretty much a
So
50-50.
less than 50.
Less than 50, just because we got monthly EMA 12. You lose monthly
Yeah.
EMA 12, my probability needle is going to swing back the other way. So,
Right. Right.
and again, it's accepting that I don't need to nail the top.
Right.
If we get if Bitcoin's going up 200%, if
Yeah.
I get 100% of that, I'm happy. If Bitcoin drops 80%, if I avoid or capitalize on 40% of that, I'm happy.
Right.
So it's the
So
meat in the middle.
what would be like, let's say it's topped off here, right? And we don't know yet, but let's say it topped off. You said what, 70K? You think maybe is a low, maybe 45K? I'm curious to think where, you've been in this for a long time, where maybe it could go. And this is obviously incredibly premature and
Yeah.
debatably valuable, but I'm just curious.
I would be looking at, I just threw that number out there, but I'd
Yeah.
be looking at this zone, this previous
Okay.
all-time high, and then we battled around there.
Okay.
So 65, 70, I'd look to see if that level could hold as support.
Okay.
One of the things, I've been using longer term time frames more, and
Okay.
I look at a 6-month chart,
All right.
and granted, we don't have a lot of history in a 6-month chart for Bitcoin, just
Yeah.
not a ton of candles,
Yeah.
but I have made note in the history of Bitcoin, it's never
Mm-hmm.
had 6 green 6-month candles in a row. And so by
Mm.
December 31st, if we're over 107, it'll be the first time ever. If we're under
Interesting.
107, it'll tie what it's done in the past. So,
Interesting, yeah.
but long term, I will be looking for a 6-month higher low in
Yeah.
Bitcoin compared to 15,000. Great. How useful
Right.
is that? But, I looked at the S&P 500 during the 2022 bear market,
Uh-huh.
and looking for this long-term 3-month higher low helped me shift from bear to bull, not at the bottom, but close enough where it was a very beneficial shift, because we
Mm-hmm.
were in a clear down, monthly, weekly, daily downtrend in the S&P 500,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a longer term higher low. And
Mm-hmm.
so I do suggest that, you find a 3-month or a 6-month chart to keep the bigger picture in mind when you are in fear, to remind yourself that fear is going to end. Whenever we're in euphoria, I'm always reminiscing about the deep fear. And whenever we are in deep fear, I'm remembering the euphoria. And that just helps me psychologically be a bit of a contrarian. Not that I'm constantly fighting price action or trends, but just to remind myself that means there's going to be a significant opportunity. Markets love to go from fear to FOMO very quickly and back.
Very
Fear to
quickly,
FOMO to FOMO to fear very quickly in both directions. And so I will be watching Bitcoin for a 6-month higher low at the bottom of the next bear market. And, that's definitely the most likely scenario. And if that can form at 65 to 70, it's going to still be a healthy longer term chart.
Right. Which makes sense for the people who just DCA, who are probably doing the smartest thing, which is buying $25 a week or whatever they're doing, and they don't have to worry about, EMA 12, EMA 8, or, what people are saying. You mentioned, I'm really curious, Dan, like gold, and do you do like a BTC versus gold chart, or how? Can you talk us a little bit through more of that? You said 3 times in the past it's done this and that. Can you get just a visual of that?
Yeah, so we'll use the monthly charts. I do measure them against each other just to see when that shift is taking place. But I think the easiest way here, we got Bitcoin on the left. We'll go gold on the right.
Look at you're using TradingView. This is like, if I knew what I was doing, how I would use TradingView.
Lots of practice.
Yeah.
So just roughly speaking, if we go, all right, Bitcoin had this monthly consolidation.
Beautiful.
We'll go March, so spring and summer into the fall 2024. So what was gold doing at that time? This is March 2024. So it's just monthly straight up so this Bitcoin down, gold up. Then gold takes a couple month breather, 3 months, we'll say, little bull flag in gold. While that's happening, Bitcoin makes its big move up for 3 months. Bitcoin then consolidates for about 4 months. While that's happening, gold is going straight up for 4 months. Gold then goes sideways for 3 months. While that's happening, Bitcoin's going up for 3 or 4 months. Bitcoin is consolidating for 3 months. Gold is going straight up for 3 months. It's been pretty on point. It's not. There are some people that are zoomed in on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
This is like a week-to-week basis that I'm zoomed out on. But
interesting.
if this pattern continues and if gold starts some monthly consolidation, ideally Bitcoin's going 130 plus, which is why I'm still open to the possibility that top's not in and we get another leg up.
Because it's rotation, right? Money rotates, retail rotates, institutions. It's the hot potato. It's what's hot, like you said, quantum, uranium.
And crypto's a blip compared to metals, definitely. And so a lot of people say like, there's no way gold's, but I mean, I'm a retail trader. I've been holding silver for a year and a half. I sold half of it. I bought a little ETH during the dump. Like
you want to show us ETH? You want to show us ETH?
I'm one tiny example here, but I always look at myself and say, if I'm doing this, a lot of other traders are doing this as well. It's magnified.
Smart.
So for ETH, again, the same thing with ETH where, we came off this low, we went straight up 200% to a new all-time high. Again, a bull break with no follow through.
Yeah.
But I also didn't expect follow through because we were extended. We didn't have a monthly higher low and higher high. So I know if it's going to be a sustainable move, you've got to confirm that you got to establish a longer term support and then see continuation. So the monthly consolidation isn't surprising. I use fib retracements to help me determine most likely scenarios. Generally speaking, if you retrace 50% plus, you scout the equilibrium and the tightening range. If you retrace 382 or 40%, a bull flag is on the table. So the way I'm approaching ETH right now is a monthly bull flag is on the table as a possibility. And so, I bought a little bit of ETH during the drop to daily oversold. And this is an example of how I stay comfortable. So this was ETH coming off of all-time highs, first daily oversold. We had a solid bounce from that. Ended up going, 15% plus, 24%. So I trim a bit. So I had a pretty good entry. I sell a third. I think I sold half. If I sell half 10% higher, again, me to the move. We went 24%. Even if I only get 10%, now my break even is 10% under where I entered. So let's just say, 3,600 is my break even on that trade. So I can sit through this choppy action and be comfortable. We're dipping down. I'm giving back some profit to try and let this play out. But by taking partial profit, getting my cost basis lower, it's like I relieve a bit of the need to be constantly, on top of things. This is a longer term swing position. If this is the monthly high or low, I've got a good entry. If we see another leg down, I'll stop out with a small loss. ETH has the same thing that Bitcoin does in terms of this beautiful daily equilibrium, which is not surprising at all after the massive volatility from the liquidations.
Yes.
And this is going to break next week, and we'll see.
I see you're using RSI with the moving average, right? Like, do you use the moving average at all? It's there. I haven't really heard you mention it. Is it just there? Or?
It's just there.
That's what I thought.
I like the volume average, this orange line here. This is the, I like keeping an eye on that. So when I know there's, unusual volume, but average RSI, if you ask me, if I took my chart away and if you asked me if it's on my chart, I wouldn't be able to say yes or no. I don't know.
I see. Okay.
I'm ignoring that yellow line. Yeah.
That's funny. Cause I know you and I use RSI quite differently. I know you, like we approach oversold and overbought differently a little bit. And I think you use divergent sometimes, or no?
Not much. No, for me, it's what I call and again, this is the most profitable trading strategy, and it's in euphoria breakout markets where, how do I enter? It's using the shorter term oversold conditions, exactly as I mentioned, for the longer term higher lows. So when you're ripping 5-minute oversold, is going to mark the hourly higher low into continuation. Hourly oversold is going to mark the daily higher low into continuation. Just right off the bat here, I can show you gold hourly oversold on this monster run that we had. I can highlight the back burners here from when we hit hourly oversold. Every time on this blue sky breakout run up, that's your best entry. Hourly oversold, oversold.
Has that trend broken, or is it still the case?
It has broken. We double topped. And as soon as you double top and then break that low, market environment is shifted. And that's very important. Number one reason traders will give back their gains. Everybody makes gains in the euphoria market. They give them back because they keep doing the same thing when the market environment has shifted. We've got to recognize the market environment has shifted, pump the brakes, trade less, do things differently, because if you keep doing the same thing, you will get back all your profit.
But how do we know when it's shifted, Dan? Like what, here we see the double top, we see the peak, the trough, the break of the trough, but like, is it always as clean as that little, Adam and Eve or whatever? I mean, what else?
Not always, but oftentimes it is. Again, like EMA 12 rider for me. So here's gold riding the 12-hour EMA 12. And again, the entire run up, we are just holding it,
Yeah. It's
holding
a
it.
trending market. It's trending,
Yeah.
right?
And you
Right.
lose it, and okay, things
Okay.
have shifted. And now this
On the
EMA
other
12
side.
is potentially acting as resistance. We'll see how
Mhm.
that goes. But gold, I've been watching this gold chart all year. Look at weekly EMA 12. I've been sitting here,
Yeah.
in every video that I make, I say, if weekly EMA 12 is support, the bulls have nothing to worry about.
Yep. Yep.
And I thought this sideways range was going to break bear. I had a little
Yeah.
bias.
Because it was just rolling over there a little bit.
Yeah. And it's, we've been running hard, and it's,
Yeah.
but I just kept sticking with that EMA, kept
Yeah.
holding. All right, I'm not going to shift.
Mhm.
Monster leg up. And
Boom.
that's an example where a gold bull who has a profitable position
Yep.
adds big there on that break. And
On the breakout, yeah.
that's something I'm trying to rewire my brain,
Mm.
where, you've got the profit cushion. If you're wrong, you're only going to get back some profit. You're not going to take a
Yeah.
fat loss.
Right.
And you have the potential to just maximize that momentum and that already winning position.
And that's a clean break. I mean, it's a long range there, and you're breaking a well-defined level. So that's, I mean, because obviously not all levels, created equally. Um, Interesting. So you gave us some mojo in Bitcoin. You gave us some mojo in Ethereum. Do you ever look at like Total 3 or these other like aggregate things that say like altcoins? People say alt season and altcoins, and I always say like chart by chart. I'm very much telling people like if you're trading Sol, trade Sol. If you're trading Doge, trade that. Don't trade. Wait for altcoins to do whatever. Just play the chart. But do you
Yep.
ever look at like Total 3 and stuff or
I'll
Total 2?
check in the dominance chart, and
Yeah.
sometimes
What's your read on dominance? What's your read on that? Because I know a lot of people
so
are interested.
we've been in a monthly uptrend for a significant period of time, very
Yeah.
clear for years. We had a big drop, and now the question for me is, do we confirm the monthly downtrend? Lower high, lower low. If that
Okay.
happens, alts will significantly appreciate comparative to Bitcoin for the first time meaningfully in years. And if you look back at some prior examples, the biggest moves here are failing that high and then breaking that low. There's
Yeah.
a big 2-month alt season. And so
Ah.
that for me, if you break the low from where we just came from,
Mhm.
in my opinion, that means ETH is going 5,000 plus
Mhm.
as that's happening. And then ideally ETH goes into the altcoins for them to get some rotation. As I keep saying, I think
Yeah.
altcoins are penny stocks. I don't think we
Yes.
ever see 2021 again,
No.
but we could see a 200% move. That's still worthwhile, even though it's not 1,500%.
Yeah.
I just think 2021 was all the stars aligning.
Yes.
Everybody's at home, stimulus checks, all markets
Yeah.
ripping with money printing.
Yeah.
I just don't see that happening again.
People are conditioned to, I don't know your thoughts, the 4-year cycle and all that. And people think, new high 80%, new high 80%. But we're seeing less volatility in Bitcoin over the long run, right? And we're seeing things slowly change. What is your sense of that? Is it because it's institutional now? We have all these other methods for people to get access to crypto, and it's all Wall Streeted out. I mean, what's the impact of that?
Yeah, liquidity. It's when
Yeah.
you add major players, when you add liquidity, it's not by coincidence that the Friday liquidation dump that we saw happened right after markets closed. That
Yes.
was
Yes.
intentional because as soon as the bell rings at 4 p.m.,
Yeah.
a ton of ETF liquidity is now off the books. They're not on
Okay.
the bid and the ask anymore. And
Okay.
so, whether orchestrated, manipulated, whatever you want to argue, anybody that's looking for a big move wants it to happen in the least liquid environment. That's when it's
Yeah.
easier for a little bit of money to go a long way in terms of
Mhm.
moving price. So as you have these ETFs, these institutions,
Mhm.
liquidity increases, volatility decreases, and that's just going to continue. Gold has been boring forever, aside from this run, because
Mhm.
it's so much liquidity in those futures markets.
Right.
And that's the case,
Right.
as assets mature, that's going to continue to be the case.
So, so we have to rethink Bitcoin. We can't just assume it because it's done this in the past, then it's going to do the same thing again. And we have to just watch the 12, EMA in a certain time frame, or we just have to remove what is. We have to be more objective, maybe, and just try to forget what has happened a little bit. Eternal sunshine of the spotless mind.
Yeah, things change. I mean, even just in my career of 15 years, I mean, the impact of Twitter on markets is
Yeah.
massive. I mean, the game
Right.
changes with technology,
Yeah.
with everything. We're moving at lightning speed as a society,
Mhm.
and so you have to be agile and reactive, or you will die and go extinct. And
Mhm.
I love. There's a trading documentary in the pits, something about the pits. I forget the exact name, but it's about the pit traders, and it's a documentary, and it's right in line with when the computer started taking over. And you can see it's
Ah.
so fascinating. You see these guys
Mhm.
like not trusting the computer, and it's
Yeah.
like, you can't take my job. Like, this is essential for markets. And you can see
Yeah.
the dinosaurs that are going to die, and you can
Yeah.
see the younger guys that are embracing it and going to survive. And the game will constantly change.
Mhm.
Nothing is set in stone, not even mathematical 4-year cycles. And
Yeah.
you have to stay agile, or you will go extinct in this game.
So you think it's just gonna be like automated trading strategies, like all over the place and
Oh, I mean, it already is. You could see the bots firing,
yeah.
instantaneously on headlines. And for me, it's
Yeah.
always, I'm not trying to beat the markets. I'm trying to ride its coattails. I'm
Mm.
trying to just,
Mhm.
if AI is going to be the next best thing for trading,
Yeah.
I'll see it on the chart. I'll be able to follow
Yes.
along with what they're
Yes.
doing. And you see it to a degree. Like, I'm recognizing the megaphone patterns more
Okay.
over the last 5 years versus 10 years ago. Number one, because I'm looking for them, but
Well,
number
isn't
two,
BTC doing that a little bit?
a little bit, yeah. And the reason, in my opinion, is as more and more people get used to technical analysis and support and resistance, then the market is going to make it harder, and they're going to stop everybody out, stop the
Right.
bears out, and then
Right.
dump and stop the bulls out. And the
Yeah.
megaphone is just breaks of both directions with no follow through.
Right.
And if you're not, I suggest getting comfortable with that pattern, because I used to be able to look at a chart and be confused. I can look at a chart and say,
Yeah.
I know the most likely scenario. This looks like an equilibrium. I'm
Yeah.
comfortable. Anytime I would look at a chart and say, I don't know the most likely scenario, it turned out it was a megaphone. And I just, okay,
Interesting.
I need to get better at recognizing this pattern, because it's
Mhm.
faking me out.
Yeah.
And so I've been focusing
Broadening
on that.
pattern, right? It's a
Yep.
broadening pattern. I mean, that's generally bullish though, bullish megaphone, right? I mean,
Yeah, it can be for sure. But again, it fakes everybody out while you're
yeah.
waiting for it to develop.
We're seeing that right now, even like zooming in like 4 hour, maybe daily, like the 107.5 range. I had used that for a bunch of trades and I got stopped out and I almost re-entered like a couple nights ago, but like I put out a tweet. I don't know if you saw it where I said like the market, it will wear you down and make you give up before the move actually happens. And it kind of did that with me. Like I
Yep.
took 107.5, it was above, there's no follow through. I was like, fine, I give up. And then boom, we're back to like I could have had another beautiful trade. And it's just it can be so frustrating.
Markets love to grab the liquidity, trigger a bunch of stops right
Yeah.
before the reversal. And that goes back to what I said about flags with no follow through. That's what's happening. You
Yeah.
trigger that liquidity right before the reversal. And yeah, this
Boom.
107.5 level was, I mean, just look at
That's
support,
what I'm saying, right?
wall of resistance,
Boom.
support, and then these little stop
Yeah.
everybody out right
Got
before the
me.
reversal. Yeah.
Got me. So does that mean I don't know. I mean, it's pushing back towards the highs, but like you said, we're heading into the weekend and it could be a tweet, right? Here and there from a certain person, maybe moving things. So there's no way to really handicap that, right? Like trade news tweets or like
Yeah, I mean, you got to have stops in
yeah.
this market, just because like yesterday I was trading quantum stocks, and it was a joke because you get a headline in the morning: Trump admin is looking to invest in quantum stocks. They all
Yeah.
rip, and then midday, Trump admin says that
Just
wasn't.
kidding.
Yeah, just kidding. And so they all dump 5% in 1 minute, and all of
Right.
my runner positions just all stop out. And
Boom.
I would have got hit hard if I didn't have stops. So
Yeah.
because, as I mentioned, the market is changing with
Mhm.
Twitter, especially when you got presidents now all over it and
Yeah.
constantly talking about markets.
Yeah.
It changes the game where people who diss TA love to say you can't predict the headlines, or the headline could just ruin your chart. Yeah, for
Right.
sure. But if I'm in a position with a stop loss and the headline's in my favor, I got a big win. And if it's against
Yes.
me, I stop out and it doesn't hurt me too bad. And it's just more of the same game. You position yourself in higher reward versus risk setups, and over the long run it works out. Just like we talked about poker a little bit
Yeah.
before we started, but if you go all in with pocket ace, anybody who's played poker any amount of time, you're going to lose with pocket aces when you're all in pre-market plenty of times. That doesn't mean you stop doing it because you have the best hand. I can have an ideal setup that's worked for me the majority of the time. It's going to fail some of the times. You have to anticipate that that's just part of the game.
That's such a great point. Do you mind if I ask you a couple individual names?
Sure.
Like Microstrategy. I know a lot of people are interested in Microstrategy, I think. And I have my thoughts on it for sure, but maybe I don't want to prime you. So
yeah, so for me, the blow off top that we saw to end last year, I made a statement on Twitter where I think that's the premium top for the cycle. Just because of how insane that run was and the fervor and so for me, and I think it's Jim Chanos, big famous trader. I really liked his trade where he went long Bitcoin and short MSTR to just capture that premium erosion. I loved that trade when he put that out months ago. And so if you look at, MSTR divided by Bitcoin, you will see that we have been fading. That is the premium erosion. It peaked with MSTR and it has been eroding for months and months and months. Yeah. And so for me personally, I'd rather look to trade. If I'm looking long, I want to find something that has relative strength versus Bitcoin, not relative weakness. I either want to be, if something's relatively weaker than Bitcoin, I'm taking Bitcoin, but ideally, maybe a miner like CLSK or MARA or these old school
there's a
miners.
couple, Ionic and Cypher. There's a couple I think that were pretty strong.
The miners, IREN, these miners shift. They fundamentally shifted into the AI space with their data centers and stuff. Smart. That was ingenious. Just jumping on the narrative, penny stocks.
Yeah, of course. Long Island Iced Tea blockchain company, right?
Yeah, change the name of your company, jump on the narrative.
Yeah.
But it's smart. It appreciates the price. And, do you want to be in this name or MSTR? You want to be in this name. So I'm always looking for relative strength if I'm looking long and relative weakness if I'm looking short. So bigger picture, MSTR, we're approaching a key support zone. There's no denying
250 or whatever. Yeah, 250. Yeah.
And maybe 230s, 240s.
Yeah.
So maybe if that holds, then maybe the premium goes up a bit because like anything, there's some bounces along the way. But I think the premium trend is down for a while until proven otherwise.
Right.
So, if someone said, hey, I'm thinking of playing off this support, I wouldn't advise them against it. Right. But I would just, hey, maybe there's some other better things to play.
Like what?
Again, like these miners, these miners, like MARAC, Riot, these things that were dead with altcoins forever, they're doing nothing. They have woken up. Like these things did just hit 3-year highs. So they're coming to life a little bit. And, if Riot is putting in a weekly bull flag right now, I love when I can say something. Honestly, looking at this chart right now makes me want to position in Riot.
Do you ever do a video and you're like, oh my God, I wish I could just pause
all
and
the
go.
Time.
Yeah.
Like, and I love when, people ask, I don't run any scans like stocks or anything.
Yeah, me neither.
Because it's always people asking me stuff and I look at it and I give my analysis like, oh, well, I like that setup. I'm writing that down for me.
I'm the same way. That's so funny.
So I love being able to say, X whatever is at the highest level in 3 years, 4 years. That tells you things are shifting. And so, we're battling this previous range here that was resistance. Let's zoom in to the weekly chart. So all this resistance, now we're back testing and holding it. Yeah, and so I'm looking for another leg up. If Riot gets over 2366, things open up a good bit. And so, let's just
look at you're overbought though on your RSI. It's kind of marked tops though, right?
Not in I don't look. So again, I'm looking at RSI to be in the opposite of the trend in the sense.
Right. Okay.
So give me oversold for the longer term high or low. If something's
because
overbought,
the trend's changed, you don't mind. Sorry to interrupt you because the trend's okay.
If you're hitting 3-year highs and you're overbought, you got to be overbought to be hitting 3-year highs. And you can stay overbought for, you look back at major bull runs, you stay over this weekly back here in 2020.
Beautiful.
You're overbought for 2 months there. And if you're letting that, have you stay away here, you're missing 200% in 2 weeks or whatever.
But in the corrective phase there in whatever 23, 24, that was marking tops.
Yes. So I use RSI as a perfect example. XRP after the flash dump,
the standard.
XRP hourly overbought marked the bounce high. That was it. We got up the RSI right here. Again, I call it a reverse back burner because I'm usually looking for them for bounces, but
Okay.
we kissed over bot. That's the top of the bounce. So if you're in give me a weekly and daily downtrend, I will look for overbought RSI to mark the longer term lower highs, just the inverse of what we talked about.
Smart. That's smart. What do you think about the chart overall, XRP, like daily, weekly?
Probably tighten up. Yeah. So same little equilibrium.
Yeah, underside though, right? A little bit of underside, 275.
I like this zone. I mean, we on the flash dump. I mean, clearly, 160, 190. That is the long-term level that must hold. And bigger picture, definitely, I'm watching for these tightening ranges. I want them to break bull. I have a little bias in that regard because I do have some, as I mentioned, some ETH exposure.
I see.
NASDAQ hit all-time high today.
Yeah.
So if this breaks bull, but again, if daily equilibrium breaks bull on XRP, zoom out to the weekly, because anything under 310 will just be a weekly lower high. And I usually, after the volatility spikes, which we certainly saw, I look for tightening ranges, just one time frame for the next. First, you'll tighten up on the 4 hour. You zoom out, it tightens up on the daily. You zoom out, it tightens up on the weekly. So I'm open to that being a possibility as well, as far as a path as to where we head over the next month or so.
XRP. What about Zcash, Dan? That's like you said, relative strength, right? Like that's what jumps to my mind.
Yeah.
And then also people say when Zcash runs chart, what is it? Not chart, duck. What's his name? The duck, the famous duck. He's been around forever. He puts his duck upside or downside, depending on. I don't know. My brain's not working.
I don't know the duck.
You don't know? He's
I was thinking Scrooge McDuck.
He's been around forever. My brain is not. I'll find it, but in the other window. But he said, Zcash top, right? He marks the top of these moves. What do you think about Zcash?
Definitely, the relative strength has been massive. So again, the difference between altcoin season, where you just close your eyes and throw a dart and you're making big money, 2021. This time it takes skill. You've got to be selective. There are names that have been running. You just got to be pinpointing them it's the difference between a shotgun and a sniper. And so I'm, again, bull break, no follow through always has me a bit cautious. Doesn't mean it's over. It just means we need to be cautious that the bull break lacked follow through. And so for me, if we break 226.50, that will be telling me, that will confirm a daily downtrend. And that will be telling me it is good for simple statement. I love simple statements. If 226 is support, bulls are fine. Boom. If you lose 226, things are shifting. That's the first confirmed daily downtrend since this run started. Look for more significant consolidation. At that point, we'll look for weekly consolidation, head back, 200, upper 100s. Yeah. If we lose to 26. I had a logic class in college, and it was then statements was an aspect of
Boolean or whatever. Isn't it called Boolean logic or something?
I forget, but it stuck with me enough to know that I create my trading theses in that manner. If 226 is support, then we're bullish. Boom. Shut your mind off. That's it. We overthink things. We need to just make a simple statement. If 226 breaks, then the market environment is shifting and we look for weekly consolidation. So that is the level that we're watching at this point. And as we know, in the altcoin space, we generally see a name run for months and be the lead bull. And then once it pops, it just fades for months. It's over
for a while. And people are waiting for the magic to come back, and it usually doesn't, or it may or may not.
Yep. And especially more so the last couple of years. It's you run, you top, and that's it. And so you got to be cautious of that. But 226 is the line in the sand in the short term.
I was thinking of Crypto Don Alt. I don't know if you know the name, but he's the duck.
The duck, right? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe one or two more. You've been so generous with your time, and man, I'm learning so much. You folks should know I definitely look up to Dan. I mean, this guy's legit. How about like Sol? Just to kind of feed the audience. I know a lot of people would ask me, Sol, what do you think, Dan?
So again, everything's doing a version of the tightening daily range, and we got closer to resistance than most there. We did reject, but that we'll just call it 198 is a very key level. We've got our, I've been calling them trenches more.
Okay. Tell us about that trenches thing. You mentioned it earlier.
So World War One, trench warfare.
Yep.
You got
Mustard gas.
Yeah, you got two trenches. You're battling for the middle ground. You're trying to overrun the other team's trench, and then once
Yeah.
you do, you've got to defend it and make it
Okay.
yours. And so, very often, trenches or zones. Let's just mark this out. You've got this is the support zone where we can see. Just look at these holes. 1, 2, 3, 4 times.
Yep.
This zone has held. Now we've got a little short-term resistance zone where this was a little bit of a double top in the upper 190s. So that's my bear zone. That's my bull zone.
Right.
We're going to keep chopping within this range until one side overtakes the other. When it overtakes the other, you got to ensure that you backtest and hold. Just like we looked at Riot. Riot had the bear trench on that long term. We've got over it. Let's just do this quick so we're showing the visualization. So you get over, the bear trench gets overrun. And we are now, so this is now Team Bull has dug into this trench. And the bears are attacking the trench that they just lost. And the bulls are repelling that attack. And so the previous resistance is currently holding as support. And so I'm just imagining bulls and bears in their green helmets and uniforms in this battle.
That's funny.
And so, that's, as we look at Sol, we've got that going on in the shorter term timeframes. And so, it also helps me by saying nothing changed. We don't get any new information on this chart until one of these zones is overrun. If not, we're just going to chop around sideways and we got no new information.
Well, what about partnership news? And what about, right? All these other things. It's really important. A Google executive was just hired in the Solana board or whatever, right?
Yeah, I don't pay attention at all. Honestly, if you put me on a game show of what does this altcoin do, I would fail so much. I've made money. I mean, even stocks, I make money on stocks, on altcoins. I have no idea what the company does. It's just all price action. And again, that has to go with my detaching from the dollars, emotionally impacting me and treating it like points in a video game and flashing numbers on a screen. And I know if people want to invest, I understand that. That's a different mindset.
Yeah.
But if you're investing in anything like altcoins, it's either 0 or 100. That's your mindset. As soon as you buy that investment, it's $0. You write it off in your brain. That money is gone. If it's anything more than 0 in a few years, bonus. But anything that's an investment in something as speculative as altcoins, it's 0. So that's how you need
Bitcoin, even Bitcoin, or is that different because
it has a little bit more staying power, but the position that I kept from 2017, I locked in 90% of my profit.
Yeah.
And I don't regret that at all. But the position I kept when I'm doing my net worth and figuring out, a couple times a year, I would account for it as 0. And psychologically, that allows me to write it off, forget about it, not be emotionally impacted when it's down 80% off the high.
Yeah.
And it's just bonus money. And, there are things where it is okay doing that. SPY, the S&P 500. You want to just buy that and hold it for decades? His history's on your side. That's fine.
That's one I feel like hard to argue against, right?
Yeah, and I have a distrust against the financial system. I was, my trading career was born in a distrust of the government and the financial system. But I can't deny historical data. And so, I better, all these wealthy boomers just buy and hold some for 40 years.
Yeah.
And that was my version. All right, I'll have some Bitcoin and ETH that I'll hold for decades.
Yeah.
And that's my version of doing what worked for this older generation.
You see them the same, or is Ethereum different, right? It's
different. It's higher. It's
higher beta. Higher risk.
guess so. Yeah. I mean, but again, it's my same mindset where I just say, I don't know. I don't know what Bitcoin is going to do in the future. I don't know if ETH's going to be the thing that they build all the stable coins on. I have no idea. If it is, I will benefit. If it's not, my net worth will go down a little bit, but it's not going to change anything. I'm just positioning myself in a low risk, high reward scenario, which is what all trading is.
So you've become a boomer, and now you're diversified. You've got a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah. I mean, I grabbed some I bonds to grab some interest when inflation was going on. I
Okay.
played some T-bills. If I got a
Yeah.
bunch of cash sitting around and I can
Yeah.
earn 4 to 5% risk-free,
Yeah.
the game changes as your capital grows for sure.
Yeah.
And, a little bit of real estate, a little bit of metals, a little bit of SPY, bunch of cash. That's what helps me sleep at night.
So what's next for chart guys? Like what's in short and medium term for you?
Short term, just continuing to truck along and do our thing. It's been a lot of fun. We got our webinars that we do, like the one I did yesterday. Every month
Okay.
we'll do another one of those. We've got, free trials and stuff. People want to check it out. Midterm, again, not sugarcoating it. I will be trading less. It's nice. I essentially, when I was doing videos every day, it's almost like a diary of a trader leveling up, what I'm doing psychologically, what's going on. There was a period in time where it was, in my opinion, one of the most complete versions of, a diary of a trader leveling up available on the internet. There weren't many of them at that point in time. Now there's way more. But I'm going to be trading less and shifting into more swing trade. Again, as that path and evolution of a trader continues to transpire, things shift a bit. But this year it helps having a raging bull market, but it's been my best year swing trading ever. And that's I'm trying to shift day trading to swing trading. And so, I've got goals centered around that. And also, battling the addiction of the screen and the social media and, stepping back and taking a day off and things like that, trying to rewire my brain because it's been entrepreneur drive, go, go, go for a decade. And I want the sigh of, I got to rewire my brain.
How do you do it, man? I never see you beefing with people. I never see you raging. You seem so steady to me, solid. Like how? Like how are you doing that?
Emotional control for sure. Microdosing psilocybin, cannabis. I've got a webinar I did. I held that close to my chest for a long time, not wanting to talk about illegal substances when I was first starting out, and now whatever, come get me.
Come at me.
I did a webinar. If you look up Chart Guys secret tool, I think it is my secret tool to trading success.
I think I saw that.
That's all about psilocybin, cannabis, and how it's made me a better trader, without a doubt, 100%. And so those have been tools. I have used them as tools in my journey. Emotional control, balance, all those things.
Those are critical, and probably a lot of people ignore them. Maybe they have zero mindfulness, and not to endorse it, but I'm going to endorse microdosing, like you said, teaching you to appreciate things and to slow down and to mindfulness is like, how do you know if you're not even being aware of your behavior? How can you fix it?
Yeah, you gotta be zoomed out and observing your thoughts. You've got to be observing your thought process while trading. Mindfulness. I love looking at bugs in the garden. I'll just watch the bug. I'll watch how is this bug interacting with this plant, interacting,
that's so cool.
The environment. That's how that's my meditation. I'm not, sitting legs crossed and doing this. I'm just turning off my brain and observing. That's how I'm meditating in nature. It's psilocybin is a big part of that for me. And again, it can be a vice. Anything can be a vice. You can make it a tool with discipline. All these characteristics that are critical to be a trader apply to life. Trading is a lifestyle. It is not an occupation. You have to embody all of the traits that are required to make a trader successful in your life. You've got to be healthy and working out. You've got to be eating
Are you working out? You hitting weights and cardio or what?
Yeah, I got, I play Frisbee with some friends once a week, and I play volleyball, and I've got, the pull-up bar in the house, and I actually just signed back up to a gym now that it's winter. I got to try a little harder to get my car, out in the yard chopping wood. I'm just always eating healthy, local organic food, supporting farmers, no processed junk. It's all tied together.
So you got to take care of yourself, man. That's wonderful. Is there so like people sign up for Chart Guys, your community, what would they get? Why should they sign up? And I know I never see you selling, like you don't even try.
I'm not a salesman. I'm a trader. I always say there are content creators who trade and there are traders
Yeah.
who create content, and
Yeah.
there is a difference. And
Yeah.
I am, I'm not a salesman.
Okay.
Things make me cringy when I'm, I've got help, like, again, another Chart Guys member is now in our helping with social media. And he's like, say this, or don't forget to remind you, click like and subscribe. I hate saying that, but
Yeah.
it
That's
makes a
funny.
big difference. And
Yeah, I hate
so,
saying that too. Yeah.
fine, I'll
Yeah.
say it. But yeah, it's honestly, I'm just not a salesman, and people come if they want, and that's fine. And we got free trials, so check it out. It's
But
no
what do you
harm
get? What
done.
do you get in a free trial? What are they checking out? Is it
So
like, what is it?
we've got a chat room on Slack,
Okay.
and
Okay.
we got commodities, crypto, cannabis, stocks, swing trade, investing. We've got all the different entrepreneurship. We've got all the channels of different things,
Yeah.
mindset, all the stuff. We've got daily live streams multiple times a day. We've got weekend videos that are not putting out on public YouTube that we're putting into the Slack.
Okay.
Access to successful traders. You can ask questions. We're constantly answering questions. When I started, I was in another chat room, and I was answering the person. I'm not going to call anybody out, but the person whose chat room it was, their funnel was, if someone asked a question, he would say, "I answer that in this course." And I'm sitting there thinking, I can answer this in 60 seconds.
Yeah.
And so I started answering people's questions,
That's
and
awesome.
he got mad at me, and
Yeah.
he was like, trying to get me on the team. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm in. Like, what? Let's do this. And he's like,
Yeah.
what am I would have done it for minimum wage. I would have been on his team.
Yeah.
And he wanted to I'll give you a discount on this course. I was like, nah, I'm going to go do my own thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So then started the Chart Guys with taking the lesson. I'm going to answer every question. That's why I'm here.
Oh yeah.
Like, no question goes unanswered, and we answer it
Right.
within minutes. And it's just, you've got access to a successful trader, and that is the highest value. Communicating with other people, creating these small groups that you are interacting with, and
Good.
learning from other people's lifestyle and mindset. We've got, a member, Red Devil, in there, where he taught me about T-bills and bonds and things that I didn't care about at this point in my journey, but now I care about. It's relevant to me. So we're constantly just learning. That's it. We all just shared goals, profiting, helping each other, and doing good things. And that's it.
I love it, man. Is there anything else you want to, we've had a great talk. You've been super generous with your time. Anything you want to leave the people with?
No, I appreciate you having me, and, chartguys.com, Chart Guys on Twitter. And again, I appreciate what you do and the things that you put out, and the no nonsense, and the trying to get people to shift their mindset and snap your bias that is costing you money. We're definitely very similar in that regard, where we don't pledge allegiance to any stock, any crypto, any company. It's price action. Make the chart earn your capital. Don't just give away your capital willy-nilly and hope. The thing has to be earning it. And yeah, just the psychological aspect that is so important with trading that many people don't address.
Man, I feel like I could talk to you for like 3 hours, but hour and a half is pretty good. And this is a wonderful, wonderful conversation. I think people watching are going to be surprised, and just a big, grateful thank you to you, Dan. Thanks for coming in today, buddy.
Gratitude to you as well, Chez. Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll rock it on. I'm gonna hit end record, and appreciate you again, man. All right, what do you guys think? Man, he's so good. Just the discipline, and there's definitely similarities in our style for sure, and there's differences, and you saw that. But just to hear from another straight shooting guy, somebody with just unbelievable experience, who's willing to share that with you. He wasn't even like, he didn't even want to sell his stuff. I mean, he's got such a great community and great content. He's just like, well, if you like, it's there. If you like it, if you don't like it, it's okay. I just really respect that. That's the Chart Guys. This is from his community, Chart Guys. He's been around for a long, long, long time. Chart Guys on Twitter. He is the next guest for the long form interview series on my YouTube at Ched's Trading. Really smart people. Not market leaders, just like good, solid chart people with technical analysis, maybe some fundamentals. That's okay as well. Just something to add value and to create content, good, timeless content this is a very rewatchable video. If you're watching this years later, you made a great decision because the techniques Dan taught us today can be used for a long time. So hope you enjoyed that. I definitely enjoyed it. Another wonderful long form interview, and just thank you, Dan. And again, while you're on my YouTube, check out the Trading Encyclopedia. 3 minutes, new videos every day. Teaching you concept. This is my little project here. So check out the Trading Encyclopedia. I'm on Twitter, of course, at Big Cheds, and Bitcoin Live, where I'm a founding analyst. But in any way, thank you again, Dan. We'll finish it off with a little bit of dancing, and we'll go from there. So, folks, thank you so much for watching, and Dan, thank you for being the next guest. So here we go. Thank you. Big Cheds out.